destination net.
Yeah.
Theory we have already covered. I would show you how practically you can apply on a checkpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just started with machines. Let me check if this is up. Okay, so to understand the concept of destination net, what I'm going to do, I would consider this router 5 as a DMG router. It would be part of DMG. It would be working as a DMG server, right?
Yeah.
So we will consider that this router 5 is a DMG router. So we will assign some IP to this for this router. We will assign IP of DMG series. So we taken 3 subnet. One subnet is 192.168.1.0/24. This is for internal. This is internal subnet in our practical. The other subnet we have also taken for the external, and that is 100.0.0.0/24. This is external server, and the final subnet is we have taken for DMG. And for DMG, the subnet is 172.16.1.0/24. This is assigned for the DMG. So what I would do, I would assign one of the DMG IP to this router. So I would assign this router Ethernet 0/1. A DMG IP would be 172.16.1.10, and this is /24. This is its IP and subnet mask, and default gateway would be firewall. So firewall, this interface, it's a net 2. This interface is a DMG interface. So default would be 172.16.1.1. This is the IP of firewall interface. So we will assign default gateway 172.16.1.1. This would be default gateway. Now we will do destination netting over here. So we will say, let's say if this router is working as an external router, and this is external router, plus this would I work as an external client. So let's say this is external client. So I would say I just want to access this server, but not on the private IP, but on public IP. So I would NAT this router, I mean 172.16.1.10. We will NAT with one of the IP, and here we will perform a destination NAT, and we will NAT this on one of the IP. Let's say any series of IP. Let's NAT on the 100.0.0.15. I would NAT on this IP. So let's consider if any outside user hitting this IP 100.0.0.15. This is a public IP. It hit this public IP is on firewall. Okay, means this is not assigned on any interface of the firewall, but yes, this is some time of when we do netting, the fire this IP would get active.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So this IP would get active on the firewall. So this user, I mean the external user, would hit the public IP 100.0.0.15,
Okay.
and after netting would happen on the firewall. After netting, this is going to translate on 172.16.1.10. Okay, so basically what would happen on the packet, destination IP would get removed, destination IP is getting translated, and that's why we will do here, we require to do manual netting. Understood the concept?
Yeah.
All right, so I would do in this way. Let me just assign IP to this one first. We need to assign the IP to router, and we need to make sure that this 3/0 would be part of VLAN 172, so that it would be able to communicate to its respective interface of the firewall. So what required? First, assign IP to whom? To this router.
Okay.
On second, configure this interface 3/0 on VLAN 172. Configure E3/0 this interface on a VLAN 172. This is the step, and on third step we just do net on where? Firewall. What kind of net you would do? A manual net.
Okay.
Manual net you need to do here. And finally, after doing netting, create policy to allow communication from outside from outside from outside to netted IP, from outside to netted IP. So total we have 1, 2, 3, 4 step. Okay,
Okay.
4 step we are just going to do. However, in actual environment, you would do 2 step. You would create net rule and then you would allow the traffic. That's it. So let me just do those 4 steps. Let me clear this. First, to go to router number 5. Let me just close this. This is router number 5. Go to interfaces. What was the interface name? It was Ethernet 0/1 conft interface Ethernet 0/1. Assign IP address of DMG series. Now shut. And while we have assigned this, let's assign IP routes as well. Let's remove old routing. So do show run. We can see old route route, and then we can remove no old routing. I'm just going to remove, and new routes we need to add. IP route 172.16, sorry, 0.0.0.0. Default route I'm just going to add, and since this is on DMG, so it should point to its DMG IP of the firewall. Okay, now this is done. Do WR, do write. Now let's go to switch. So where is switch? Switch is here. Let's do the configuration of Ethernet 3/0. Let's make it part of VLAN 172. Enable conft int space Ethernet 3/0. Let me make sure 3/0. Yes. And switch port access VLAN 172. Why I'm making 172? Because the firewall, this interface of firewall, part of VLAN 172. So if you see Ethernet 2/2, this would be part of VLAN 172. So we need to make sure Ethernet 2/2 and Ethernet 3/3 should be part of same VLAN.
Yeah.
Let me show you. Do show VLAN, and if you see 172, 2/2 and 3/0 would be part of same VLAN. Okay.
Okay.
Now on the firewall side and on the no, sorry. Now we need to go on the firewall side. We need to configure a firewall, first netting, and then we need to configure a policy. So to configure net, obviously we cannot do using command line. We need to open a smart console. So let's do and open a smart console. Let's log in. Username admin123. Admin123 is a password. Let's log in here. Okay. So let's just go here. If you want to do netting, and especially for manual netting, so you cannot do manual netting using object. What you need to do, you need to click on net option.
Okay.
And when you click on that option here on the policy, net option, here you can add the net policy, manual policy. So when you click on add, where you want to add rule, you want to add on the top or you want to add on bottom. Okay.
Okay.
So I would say if you are adding manual netting, so give them priority as a top. So you will see this is the default priority of the manual net. It is added on the top, and you can
Okay.
see rest of gone to bottom. Now we need to say whom we want to do net, means for which source we want to do net.
Okay.
Okay, traffic would be originating from where? If you are in real scenario, so your traffic would be always initiating from the outside. That means from the internet, because you want to make your server available for anyone, right? So anyone in the world, they want to access your web server. So you need to say the original source would be anyone, any,
Yeah.
and the original destination would be, they would be hitting your public IP, right?
Yeah.
They won't be knowing your private IP. So you can say um, you can say server public IP, server underscore public. You can give the name as per your choice, public, and then you can say IP. If you want to give IP types, you can define. So we have decided that we are going to take 100.100.0.0.15. This is a public IP, which is free in that pool, right? We can
Yeah.
consider in this way. Now, the same, this is the name. You can give any name, okay? If you want to give server public IP, you can just give server public IP, and you can ignore this one. And here you need to define a server public IP.
Yeah.
Then you can say OK. So in any source hitting this public IP, what should be
Uh,
translated? Service? No. What should be translated? Translation source. Source would just keep source original, but here the destination would, you want to do destination net, so you just
yeah.
need to say a destination should be translated, right? So
Yeah.
you can say the destination should be translated. So on destination, which IP you would give? A
Uh,
private IP of server, right?
yeah. Right.
And this is the private IP of server. We have already object of that,
Yeah.
so we can take it. Sorry, where is, I took firewall by mistake. I should take this one.
For destination net, we can select static net also, no?
So static net would be bidirectional.
It will be bidirectional.
Yeah, and it is object based. So I would not prefer object based for if you want to do destination net.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, what is happening? Any source hitting your server public IP would be translated to private IP. Rest
Okay.
of the translation service, you don't want to translate service. If your server would be running on port number 80, and someone
Mm-hmm.
hitting on 80, so you can translate that your translation would happen on the port number 8080. Sorry, I'm just repeating again. Let's say if your internal server was running on port number 800, but from outside people doesn't know, they are hitting only port number 80. So here you would say source is any.
Yeah.
Okay, destination is your server public IP. Original service would be any. Translated source translated source would keep as the original, because you don't want to translate their public IP.
Mm.
Translated destination would be this, and translated service would be port number 8080. So it doesn't matter what on whatever destination port they are hitting, but if you put port number 8080, so they would translate on the port number 80 and 80.
Okay.
So IP plus port both would get translated here,
Okay.
right? So that's I just wanted to tell you. Now, this is the rule we have created. Sorry, netting we have created. Now we need to create a rule. So on policy you would go, and on policy you can say, you can create a policy above. On the above policy you can say, give the name. Let's say give the test name. Source. What you should take here? You should take zone. So source is extranet zone, external zone. Destination is which zone? Destination is your DMZ zone.
Okay.
Where is my DMZ zone? If you want to take a zone wise, but if you don't want to go a zone wise, so you can give in this way as well. Let me just remove this. Source any, destination is your server public IP address, because by default it would be hitting on a public IP address, right?
Yeah.
Destination is 100.0.0.10. Sorry, not 10, it was 15. Okay, so server public IP. Destination is server public IP. Which port you want to allow? Which service? So as per your requirement, you can allow the service. And we are just going to allow port number 80 right now. Let's allow
Okay.
port number 80. And then you can just say action accept. And further you can say it should track, it should log as well. Now publish it. Now it has been published. And then install the policy, because we just made the changes on a standard one, so we will install on the standard policy.
Um, yeah, and the last time you said no that port will also get translated into 8080.
Yeah, it
Uh,
could be, it's possible. Yeah.
that's but we didn't define no that port.
No, I didn't define port.
Yeah.
I am just translating port number 80 only. I mean, I'm just allowing port number 80, and it originally port. Right now, I'm not doing a port translation. I'm just
Okay.
doing a translation of the IP address. Okay.
That option is there in checkpoint.
Yeah, that option is there, and I would show you in a couple of
Okay.
moment. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
right now, I'm not doing that.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Now, this has been done. Let's try to generate some traffic from the outside. Okay, let's try to generate some traffic from this one. This is outside. So I would generate some dummy traffic from this client. So there is a telnet client using which you can initiate the traffic, dummy traffic. Okay, not original, but dummy traffic you can initiate. So just go enable, and you can run the command telnet and your server public IP which you want to access from this external 100.0.0.15, and then you can assign port number 80. So when you run this, by default it won't be connecting. Right now it is not connected.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason is on the server side, I think on this router we have no service running. Okay, no web services is running on this router, and that's why the communication is allowed on the firewall, but this server is not replying. So let's go on router number 5, and let's enable the services for
HTTP.
yeah, HTTP, right. Okay, so let's go enable conft and let's enable services IP HTTP server IP HTTP authentication local, and what else, username Cisco, privilege 15, and password is Cisco. Do WR, let's save this. This could be also an issue. Right now duplex is not matching, so this could also be an issue. But I would troubleshoot this issue later if further it would not work. So now I did the configuration of HTTP. I enable HTTP here, and let's check now if it is able to connect or not. So let's go router number 4, and let's try to connect again.
What's the error that duplex mismatch? Why it is coming?
Duplex mismatch means basically what happened on the interface, there is a speed and there is a duplex concept. So by default interface works on the some of the interface working on a half duplex, means at a time they can receive, they cannot
Mhm.
sing. But if you run the full duplex, they would be running on its full capacity.
Okay.
So that is the error. Maybe it is negotiating half duplex. for this one. The speed is not matching right now. So let me just uh, change this Ethernet 0/1. Okay, Ethernet 0/1. This one.
Means the switch is running with a different speed like that.
Yeah, different switch interface, or we need to set duplex both side. We need to make sure the duplex would be same. By default, it's connect configure on auto, right? So in auto, basically they negotiate that on which duplex they want to work.
Yeah, correct.
But sometime we need to set explicitly.
Okay.
Interface Ethernet 1/, duplex full, and I just need to make sure that this interface, whatever the interface is here, respective interface on the switch side, Ethernet 3/0, should be also full. So enable configure T Ethernet 3/0 duplex full UWR. And similarly, we need to check this one as well. Ethernet 1/3. Duplex full, and this side as well on router 4. Router 4. The interface Ethernet 1/1 should be full.
0/1. No?
Sorry, it's 0/1. Okay,
Yeah.
0/1, right. Interface E0/1. Sorry, Ethernet. Duplex full. Okay, let me save it to WR. Okay, what else I can do? I can try to check again from router number 4. Let's run telnet command. Exit, exit, telnet 100.0.0.15 15 on port number 80. Okay, it's still not able to access. So let's verify on the firewall log. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's verify why it's not working. So I'm suspecting the reverse traffic would be mismatching, and that's why. So first check logs whether it is being allowed or not. So source is, just a moment. Okay. Source is 100.0.0. Think 10. This is the source outside machine, right?
Yeah.
I'm just filtering based on the source. Okay, this one to send, not port. I'm not getting any traffic for port number 80. Source this domain lookup. No traffic for port number 80.
Okay.
Strange. Show IP route. Hmm. Okay, now you can see on this router, what is the default route? This is the default route 100.0.0.150. That's a wrong configuration, right?
Okay.
Default route should be, this router should be pointing towards the firewall. Okay, outside interface of the firewall. So this is a wrong route. We just need to remove this. Right now, this router is sending traffic to this gateway, but actually it should send traffic to this one, a firewall on
Hmm.
Ethernet 1, right? On Ethernet it should send. And right now it is sending traffic to wrong firewall, and we haven't enabled any rule here. So that's why it is being dropped. So let me check right routing over here. Let me correct the routing. It should send the,
Previously, we configured like that only, no? How it is being
we
changed?
configure for, you know, previously when we were doing, I think, a branch office traffic, then we change for the, for
We did like
testing
branch
only.
office should be accessible through gateway one, that one only.
I'm not sure. I think for the, during the branch office we change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we made like that because branch gateway should be accessed through the data center gateway.
Yeah, but for 192 subnet.
Yeah.
For 192 subnet, let's say this 192 subnet, this PC or this PC. For that, we configure that it should go via data center gateway.
Mm.
But for the outside, I think we did modification,
Okay.
and this need to be restored again. Let me change this. So go to config mode, conf t, no IP route 0.0.0.0.0.0.0 10.0.0. Sorry, 100.0.0. What was the IP? 150. And now new route, IP route 0.0.0.0.0 and it should go to the firewall 100.0.0.1. Let's save it to WR, and now we can retry telnet command if it works. Telnet 100.0.0.15 on port number 80. Now you see remote host not responding, so it's
Mm.
not working.
Mm.
Okay, let me check if now I'm getting any hit on the firewall or not.
Okay.
No hit on firewall. Hundred dot zero dot zero dot 10. This is the IP of this one. Ethernet 1/3 should be part of VLAN 100. Let's check. Do show. VLAN, show VLAN. What happened? Oh, I was making mistake. What I need to check? I need to check VLAN on switch side. Ethernet 3/0 duplex is mismatching. Router number 4. Okay, we need to, I think we need to take a packet capture. Whether this is receiving any traffic from this source 100.0.0 or not. I'm not sure where packet is going, but they should receive the packet.
Okay. Or policy is correct only, no?
Also is correct. I think this should receive packet. At least it should get hit. Okay, before going that, one more thing I just wanted to allow a reverse netting. That means if the server is trying to access, send some traffic to outside, so it should be netted on the default gateway IP.